hometown. This is Hometown Today on 95.3 WBEV, powered by Daily Dodge.
And welcome into Hometown Today on 95.3 WBEV, powered by Daily Dodge. Hometown Today is presented by Professional Floor Covering, your store for floors and so much more. Randy and the team at Professional Floor Covering are there to help you design the perfect space. They've got you covered when it comes to floors. Quite literally. They've got a ton of flooring options. Choose from over 1,000 samples of carpet. I mean, any color, pattern, material you can think of, and if it exists, they can probably set you up. They've also got a great selection of hardwood over there. They do laminate. They got a lot of that very popular LVP, and that LVP, they keep getting new stuff in that LVP, and it keeps getting more and more advanced and more like real wood. I mean, they really put a lot of thought into it, and there's a whole nice variety of it for you. They do tile and stone as well, and they do those custom area rugs. We talked about all those different selections of carpet. You can use any of that and make your own custom area rug. If you got you need a specific kind of shape or a size, you can't find it at the big box store, they can help you out with a custom area rug. And when you work with Professional Floor Covering, the team will come out to the house, get everything measured up, provide different suggestions on types of flooring that might work for you. If you don't know where to start, you just say, I know I need new flooring, but I just don't know what's going to work well. No worries, they'll take a look at your project and make some suggestions. Say, hey, this would work really well here, but maybe don't do this. And they can get it all at price points to meet your budget as well. And there's so much more than floors. They've got a wide selection of kitchen and bathroom countertops, cabinets, tiles, shower inserts, and so much more. Visit them today at 713 at Park Avenue in Beaver Dam or online at PROFLR.com. Kale Zomer filling in for Ashley Dobrzinski here this morning. I've got Justin the Ninja Wilski up in the WBEV Slumberland studios pushing all the buttons for us today. And Ninja will join us a little bit later on here in the show. We're going to have a fun little convo, so stay tuned for that around 9:35 this morning. But before that, we've got welcome in our guest here this morning, and it's one of our favorites to welcome in. Will Fullwider from the UW Extension Dodge County is here with us this morning. Good morning, Will. Good to see you.
Good morning. Always happy to be here with you, Kale.
It's nice to have you here, and we're gonna we got a kind of an interesting topic to cover here, including an upcoming event that has to do with this topic that we're gonna get into, but. I know. I think we last saw you. I think in January. You were here with one of our area farmers.
Exactly.
From the I may not get the name exactly right. The Dodge County Farmers for Healthy Soils and Healthy Waters Group. Did I nail it?
That's it. You nailed it.
Wow.
That lengthy title.
That is a lengthy title. So that was a great conversation too. But for folks who maybe aren't familiar with you, talk a little bit about what it is you do over at the Extension.
Yeah, I am the regional crops educator for UW Extension here in Dodge County, and I also cover Dane County in my role. I work with area farmers on a lot of on-farm research, so taking the recommendations that we have for the UW for agriculture across the state and putting those to work out on local farms and seeing how does that play out in our local context here in Dodge County and on our soils and in our management styles. So very fun to work with all these farmers and kind of get those local recommendations rolling for the area.
Well, and part of your role that you're here to do today is to help educate too, because I think unless you're really heavily involved in crop management, it's probably a little bit of a mystery to you, right? You probably don't know much about it and what role it plays in our overall agriculture, especially here in Wisconsin, and some of the different things that that there's research going on. And what we want to talk about today is interesting. It's camelina. Yeah. Now, for folks who aren't familiar with camelina, what the heck is that? It sounds like the latest Disney princess.
It is. That's what we're here to talk about today.
Apparently, I relate everything in crop management to movies, because I think when we talked agrivoltaics, I said it sounded like something out of Harry Potter.
Yes, I believe your memory serves you correctly.
I just tie everything in crops to movies.
I need to do that more. It would help with the education aspect of it too, right? Yeah. So it's a winter hardy brassica, and what that means is brassica, which is a grouping of plants like kale.
Kale.
Like kale.
See, good crop there, kale. It's with a K, so it's not as cool
not the
as
same.
kale with a C. But.
True. But broccoli, cabbage, all of these things that we eat are brassicas, and they have that kind of sulfuric taste to them. They have a bite to them often, arugula. These are all brassicas. And winter camelina is one that we typically do not eat, but it is in that brassica family, kind of a large recognizable family of plants. And it's winter hardy, which means we can plant it in the fall and it'll actually overwinter even in our cold Wisconsin winters, start growing again in the spring. And it produces a tiny, tiny seed that it'll start flowering in early May. Has these beautiful yellow flowers. It's flowering when a lot of things are not flowering out in our crop field, so it's kind of noticeable. It looks a little bit like those canola yellow flowers, if you've ever seen those driving through the Dakotas or something like that. We don't have a lot of that here.
Yeah.
And it produces this tiny seed that is ready by the end of June, so earlier than a lot of other crops. But we, in Extension, have focused specifically on using it as a cover crop, a kind of new cover crop for farmers in the area to have something that's green and growing through the winter time.
Very, very interesting. Tell us a little bit about the research you've been doing on that. What started this thought about trying this out and looking into this as a cover crop alternative?
Yeah, pretty much in our corn and soybean systems, which is the dominant grain rotation we have, both in the area and the state. There's a lot of dairying here as well, so we have alfalfa corn systems, corn silage systems, in addition to that, and some wheat, especially in Dodge County. But we don't have a ton of options after corn and soybeans. They come off pretty late. If you're rolling through any road in the state, pretty much in October, you're going to see harvest happening of soybeans and then some corn as well. And so it's just usually not pretty warm after October. You've got some warm days, but there's not a lot of growing degree days is the thing that we use to calculate how much growth we can get out of things. There's not much of that left at the end of the fall. Kind of middle to late fall. And so we're really limited on the options of plants to grow at that time, to have something green that's going to hold our soil in place over the winter time, prevent nutrients from being lost from our soils when we have those big thaws in the spring, where we get these big washes of water. Something green and growing in the ground helps to keep that there. But we're pretty much limited to cereal rye, which is the rye that is produced for rye bread that we eat. But it is pretty much the latest thing that you can get out there and plant, still have it germinate, start growing, and get up out of the ground before winter sets in. And it's a great crop for those benefits that I just laid out of keeping the soil place, scavenging those nutrients, not letting them be lost to local water bodies. But it also can be a little bit hard to manage in the spring, especially before a corn crop. Corn loves nitrogen. It needs a lot of nitrogen to produce all the bushels that farmers need from that plant in order to make money. And they both love nitrogen. They're both grasses, so the cereal rye takes up a lot of nitrogen, which is good for our water quality, but then it slowly releases it after it's kind of killed in the spring before we plant that corn crop. And then it's kind of as it's slowly releasing it and it's sucked all the nitrogen out of the soil, or a lot of it, that corn crop's like, hey, where's my nitrogen at? I'd like some of that too. And the cereal rye is like, well, I'm still holding on to it more or less. You can't have it yet. Generally,
Sounds like me with a friend and a plate of cookies.
Yeah, exactly. Just visualize that in your mind as you're thinking about cereal rye. You're like, plate of cookies, Kale's hoarding them. Exactly. And so our corn can be like, oh no, I don't really have enough nitrogen to really get going as much as I would. And you can see that reflected in the yield potentially at the end of the year, depending on how you're managing that. Why we're looking at winter camelina is it's not pulling up as much nitrogen. It's also a lusher crop. It's more green. It decomposes a lot more quickly than rye does, so it releases those nutrients back into the soil more quickly than that rye cover crop would. So before corn, it has the potential to maybe make a little bit more sense than cereal rye because we potentially don't have that extra management aspect of we got to kill this cover crop early so we don't have that cookie hoarding of the cereal rye. By the cereal rye because the camelina is like, hey, you get a cookie, you get a cookie, you get a cookie. And that's the theory, right? That's why we're doing the research to see, does this actually pan out?
Very good. We're talking with Will Fullwider, crop educator at the UW Extension, Dodge County. And we got to step aside for a break. When we come back, we're going to talk a little bit more about camelina, some of the research you've done, some of the findings, and also talk about an event that's going to be coming up next week where folks can learn more about this as well. That's next here on Hometown Today from 95.3 WBEV, powered by Daily Dodge. And welcome back to Hometown Today on 95.3 WBEV, powered by Daily Dodge. Hometown Today is presented by Professional Floor Covering. Keel Zomer filling in for Ashley Doberzinski, Justin the Ninja Wilski up in the WBEV studio. We're joined here this morning by Will Fullwider, the crop educator at UW Extension Dodge County. Will also covers a couple of other counties as well. We were talking about camelina and using it as a cover crop, and I wanted to take a little step back here at the beginning of this segment. We realize and we recognize not everybody works in agriculture and maybe isn't even, we're in a fairly heavy agriculture community, but there's a lot of folks that aren't familiar with anything agriculture related. When we talk about cover crops, can you just kind of explain what it is we're actually talking about, what the purpose of those are?
Yeah, absolutely. So the main crops that we grow are typically going to be what we call summer annual crops. And those are the things that you plant in your garden as well. Your tomatoes, your potatoes, those are things that are planted in the spring. Kind of varies when that's going to be planted, and they're harvested in late summer, early fall, early fall. Yeah. Right? They kind of take that main growing season period, and then your garden or your fields are usually what are called fallow. There's nothing in them growing, and they're kind of just sitting there ready for spring the next year. But the weather is doing all these different things in the wintertime. It's freezing the soil, it's melting in the spring, and there's a lot of water runoff in that time, and there's nutrients that are still in that soil, but they're not being taken up by any of the roots of the plants that would otherwise be growing there during the growing season. So one of the things that we want to think about is how can we keep those nutrients in place so we're not losing them, because nutrients are expensive. We got to replace those if we're trying to grow our crops. And then also they can have an effect on our local water bodies, both like our lakes and also our groundwater. And those are kind of different nutrients that play a role in that kind of water quality, if you're talking about above groundwater or below groundwater. And so what we look towards are there things that we can grow in the time when we're not growing these cash crops or tomatoes or whatever it is that are our main crops that we're harvesting, that can help to retain the soil in place. So it's like, hey, soil, instead of maybe being lost on a big rain spell and you get some erosion, let's have something growing there, roots in the ground that keep that soil from moving, and that can keep those nutrients as well from being lost to the water that's flushing through, especially in the springtime. We see a lot of that. We see kind of at the end of harvest, typically we're going to have a freeze up of the soil, and then it's going to snow, and it's going to be pretty stable over the wintertime. But into that spring, we get that snow melt, we get a lot of water rushing off, and we can have erosion. And so cover crops, a big goal of them is to keep things in place, keep things there for when we want to grow our next crop, so it's kind of ready, and there's nutrients still in that soil. And we're not obviously going to lose all the nutrients of our soil if we're not doing that by any means, but it's just a kind of hedge on that and making sure that we can do our best to keep that soil in place.
Talking with Will Fullwider, he's the regional crop educator for the UW Extension Dodge County. We were talking about camelina as a winter cover crop, especially as it relates to an alternative to rye. We talked a little bit earlier on about some of the advantages you found of camelina over rye, specifically in that nitrogen usage and being nice and sharing. What challenges have you found so far in your research when it comes to camelina?
I mean, this is a brand new crop. However, you're working with it for Wisconsin, so there's a big learning curve, especially because it is a tiny, tiny seed. It is about the size of alfalfa. So farmers that work with alfalfa, they'll be able to visualize that, but it's like, a poppy seed size, maybe a tiny bit bigger. So it's pretty small. Yeah, if you think of your poppy seed bagel or whatever it is,
think about that versus, a corn seed.
Exactly. So when we're putting it through our equipment, it's a little bit harder to deal with. We're planting it. We're going at very low rates. So it's like 3 to 5 pounds per acre. So it's harder to measure out seed that's so small at such a low amount. So we can often get higher rates, or we've closed off the ability to plant it because we're trying to, narrow the gate so there's only a small amount of seed running through it, so we're not planting too many seeds per little area, and then we actually don't plant it at all. And so it's this kind of narrow window of how do we get enough out there that there's something out on the soil, but we're not planting 20 pounds per acre. Because if you're planting 20 pounds per acre of other crops, it's not that big of a deal. Of like cereal rye, that would be probably half the recommended rate.
Okay.
But for camelina, that's 3 times, 4 times the recommended rate. So that'd be a ton of camelina plants out on the field there, and it'd be a lot of money.
That really kind of begs my next question. You know, if you're a farmer listening to this and you're thinking, all right, I want to try camelina, I suspect one of the questions they're going to have is, with that, you know, smaller seed, does this require, you know, any special equipment or, you know, strategies for seeding?
No, I mean, we can use a lot of the same equipment that we use to plant other cover crops. That main one is what's called a drill. And so that is an implement that's pulled behind a tractor. It has a rolling disc that cuts a little slit in the ground, and then the seed falls from a box pretty much and is metered out by wheels that are turning, and it falls through tubes into that little slit, and then that slit is closed.
Okay.
And so it's just kind of like a coordinated falling. A measured falling into that slit, and that's closed, and that plants the crop. Gotcha. And so that's usually what most cover crops are planted with. It's smaller, so we do have to do that calibration, which is like, okay, how many seeds are we letting out per kind of as we're rolling along? That takes a little bit of time to get it used to, because it is such a low amount that people maybe aren't as used to planting. Because when you're planting cover crops, you're usually in the 25 to 60 pounds per acre. So it's a little bit of an adjustment on that. And your success is going to vary a little bit depending on what your setup is. Some of the small seeded crops, a lot of these drills, these planting implements will have a small seed box and a large seed box. And the way that they're delivered into that slit is different. For the small seeds, sometimes it's literally just like squirting it out the back, and it's not actually going into that slit. So you're doing a little bit of disturbance of the soil because you're opening it up, but it's just sitting on the soil surface. Then you need a rain in order to get that to work. Whereas for most cover crops, if it's being put into that slit in the ground, that furrow is what we call it, and that's being closed up, you have soil moisture there that can germinate the crop. You don't necessarily need, to get that crop going, you don't necessarily need a rain after it. Gotcha. Some other ones will drop it into that, but because it's so small, it doesn't have a lot of strength. Those big seeds have a lot of strength. You can plant them deeper, but those smaller seeds, they really need to just kind of be scratched into the surface, because there's not just a lot of strength in that seed to get out of the ground. Gotcha. So it's like this balance of planting it on top, then you have to depend on a rain, which is... who knows sometimes whether it's going to rain or not. And then, but if you plant it in the furrow and you've done it too deep, it's never going to come up because it just doesn't have the power to get through. Yeah.
Talking with Will Fullwider, the regional crops educator for the UW Extension Dodge County. Got just a couple of minutes left, and we've got an event we want to talk about. I do want to ask before we talk about that, though, what's next with with this research on camelina and using it as cover crop? Is it now we just need some usage to see more? What's next?
That's definitely part of it. Yeah, and I've worked with a couple farmers here in Dodge County to drone seed it on, which is kind of fun. It's it's a new way of delivering cover crops, that you're actually planting it before the cash crop, in this case soybeans, is being harvested. Okay. So it saves farmers time. They have someone come in with their drone and spread it into the crop, and when they're harvesting, they don't have to worry about planting the crop after the cover crop afterwards, which is pretty slick.
That is pretty slick.
Yeah, and it works really well if we get a rain, which we did not. Which we did not do this past fall, so it was a bit of a failure, but that's what you learn from.
Sure, exactly.
So, yeah.
Well, we're almost out of time, and I know there's so much more we could talk about when it comes to this, but there's going to be a chance to learn more about that, because you've got an event coming up next week. Tell us about this.
Yeah, so that would be next Thursday, March 19th, outside of Columbus at Club 60, so the food will be good. We are having an event talking all about camelina. I've been doing this research for about 3 years. And so we're going to share some of the findings that we have from that. We didn't get to dig into that too much today, but that's all right. You can come and learn for yourself. I don't want to give away the secrets.
See, exactly.
We got to have you join somehow. Yeah. So that's from 10 to about 2. Okay. So lunch is included. It's about $10, but you're getting more than that. Your money's worth of that $10 in information, and the lunch is more expensive than that. So
there you go. See, exactly. You got your lunch there, and so you get to go from picking your 4-leaf clovers on Tuesday for St. Patrick's to talking about camelina on Thursday.
Exactly.
So you got them all covered there. If people are interested in attending that next Thursday, where can they get all that info? Do you need to get registered ahead of time?
It is helpful if you register ahead of time. We're not taking payment online. You bring in your cash or your check or whatever you want to do. But you can register. You can go to the Dodge County Extension website. The camelina event will be there. You can also talk to me. You can call the Dodge County Extension office, or you can get registered through them, or even the Dane County Extension office. We have so many options for you to get you registered for the event. And we're also going to be talking not just as a cover crop, but as a potential for a cash crop. And so that's a little bit further down the line. We've been working with Cargill, who actually takes this seed in and crushes it and makes it into aviation fuel.
Oh, interesting.
So there's some interesting stuff, potentials for new crops for Wisconsin. There's a lot that has to be built on that. But if you're interested in learning more about some new crops that we could be potentially growing, as well as if it's cover crops, come see us next Thursday in near Columbus.
And want to let you throw in a plug there, too, because the other way you can learn a little bit more about what we were talking about today, you and some of your colleagues recently wrote an article on it as well. So I'll let you plug that where they can find that, read up a little more.
Yeah, so that's a Farm Progress article, Wisconsin Agriculturalist. Colleague helped to pen that one in the fall. If you just look up Winter Camelina Farm Progress, you can see some of our research results. But we have more, so come to the event.
Yes, come to the event next Thursday, March 19th, Club 60, over there just outside of Columbus from 10 a.m. until about 2 p.m. It's going to be great. Will, always great to catch up with you, my friend.
Yeah, it's always a pleasure.
Awesome. We'll see you next time around. When we come back, it's our Hometown Today question of the week. What do people do that really annoy you and you silently judge them for? We're going to find out with some of your answers, and Ninja and I are going to share ours as well. That's next on Hometown Today from 95.3 WBEV.
95.3 WBEV, powered by Daily Dodge.
And welcome back to Hometown Today on 95.3 WBEV, powered by Daily Dodge. Hometown Today is presented by Professional Floor Covering, your store for floors, and so much more. Again, our thanks to Will Fullwider, Regional Crops Educator with the UW Extension Dodge County, for joining us earlier on in the program. Don't forget that event coming up next Thursday, March 19th, out at Club 60 outside of Columbus, starting at 10 a.m. I think, hopefully, the Ninja is joining us. Good morning, Ninja. How are you?
Good morning, Kale. I'm feeling pretty good right now because I'm looking outside and I see a lot of sun, and it feels like a great day. And then I keep hearing the weather forecast, and I'm not okay with it.
I know. I was going to say, you're seeing that sunshine out there. Like, just hold on to it. Hold on dearly to it, because you're going to need it for a few days here. Now, I will say, I will put out there, please be leery of what your weather apps are telling you. We're at a point where it can't be super accurate on snow totals yet, but yes, we're going to see some snow. How much, we don't know quite yet. I think by midday tomorrow, their new models will come out, like tomorrow around lunchtime, midday. That should give us a much better idea of the timing, which will help figure out what totals are going to be. So, somewhere between 2 and 23 inches, something like that. I don't know it, but
5 and 55 inches.
Areas north of us might actually be more than that. We'll see. But it is time, Ninja. And by the way, I say that I hope Ninja's there because our camera is not working for you.
Oh, well,
I know. Gotta love it. Technology. Anyway, it is time for our Hometown Today question of the week. Mm-hmm. And today's question is, what is something that people do that you silently judge them for? For example, like putting their seat on the back of your seat when you're on a plane or a bus or something like that. I'm going to ask you what yours is, but first, we also posed this question on our Facebook page, WBEV Radio on Facebook. Got a couple of folks that had some things. Dan said, I silently judge people when passing them in a social setting, like in a store, on the street, and they don't look you in the eyes or acknowledge that you're there, or just say hello or anything like that. Yeah, you see that more and more these days. Mm-hmm. Kathy says people who overuse the word like or basically during a conversation. I'm not going to lie, I'm a little bit guilty of the like thing once in a blue moon. Bill says people who say especially a lot. Yeah, that's especially true. It really is. It's an especially true thing, especially when I'm going to be asking Ninja. Okay, sorry, I'll stop it now. Ninja, what is something that people do that you silently judge them for?
There were a couple that came to mind. One, and I've seen this a lot recently, I'll go shopping, and generally, like, it's, the kids need some new shirts or pants or whatever, and I'll see somebody go into a dressing room with some items, come out with the items. You can tell because of the words they say or how they're acting that they like them, they fit, and they'll put them back on the shelf and grab one from the back that nobody's tried on yet.
Oh, interesting. I don't know that I've ever witnessed that.
You've already put it on. You already know it fits. You already know it's the right size.
But then you get a fresh pair. Interesting.
So that one kind of bothers me a little bit. And I've only noticed it recently, like 2 or 3 times, and I'm like, have I just not been paying attention before? So, yeah, that one kind of throws me. But, of course, as a dad of daughters, you spend a lot of time standing outside the dressing room watching people and feeling awkward depending on what you're shopping for.
Yeah, there's that whole awkwardness of, like, yes, there's a reason that as a 40-year-old man, I'm standing directly outside the women's changing rooms. I promise I promise it's not that way.
Definitely nothing wrong.
Yeah, exactly.
The other one that I kind of silently judge people for is when they sit in a drive-thru after getting all their stuff and have a long conversation with the person at the window.
Okay. I thought you were going to go a different way with this, and I was going to be like, our family's guilty, but to be fair, we're a family of 5. We have 3 little kids. I thought you were going to say the ones that get their food and then wait a minute to leave because they check their bag.
Oh, I always check my bag.
Yeah, I was going to say, we don't take long. We do it quickly. But, yeah, there's a line, man. Read the room. Yeah. I've got 2 that come to mind for me. One of them is when people don't tip or severely undertip a waiter or waitress. Mm-hmm. I silently judge. I can't do it because, number one, like, probably half the, if you're doing it because something was wrong with your food wasn't good or something was wrong, like half the time it probably wasn't their fault anyway, right? It was probably the kitchen who's not earning money from the tip. And you just, or if you have like, oh, this person, this waiter or waitress was unpleasant, like, I get it, but you also like, you don't know what's going on in people's lives. Like, what if that person like had just lost their parent like the day before, but like they can't afford to be off work and they're back at work the next day? Like, would you be able to be perfectly cheery and just pretend nothing just happened? Like, probably not. So I don't know. I can't bring myself to not tip or under tip. I don't think I've ever done that.
Yeah, I've always tipped before, and I mean this is a whole rabbit hole we can get down when it comes to tipping. I am definitely a performance-based tipper, but I'm also incredibly lenient because I understand how hard the job is.
Yeah, you also have a base level. It's not like you're gonna, when you say you're performance-based, you're starting with a fair base and then basically earning extra from there.
Exactly.
I think that's kind of how I work too.
Yeah.
The other one that I see, and I see this more commonly over the last, I'd say maybe 2 or 3 years, and yes, I've actually seen this multiple times in multiple different places. Putting your phone on any kind of speaker, whether it's music, whether it's watching a video or on a call, in a public restroom. And yes, I have witnessed this multiple times.
See, at first I thought you were going to give like the standard faux pas of like public space, like you're on a bus or something. Restroom?
Public restroom. I have been in multiple public restrooms where people are either on a call. And by the way, anything on speaker, no go, and just generally no taking calls in a public restroom. Honestly, really, if you boil it down, there's really no reason to be on your phone at all in a public restroom. But those two, but yes, I have been in a public restroom when somebody was on a call on speakerphone. I have been in a public restroom when somebody has been listening to music on full blast, and that one was really odd and awkward because it was a pretty large public restroom. It was quite busy. I bet there was 20 to 30 people in this restroom, and it was at kind of a festival, and the majority of people that were there were likely there to listen to some country music, and a gentleman was in the stall with hardcore hip-hop playing on full blast on his speaker. Like, buddy, wrong place.
Yeah. I mean, I get it if you're trying to start like a Taylor Swift sing-along.
I mean, we're not talking like Snoop Dogg top 40 hits. Like, we're talking like deep album cuts.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So that was, I'm going to judge, if you're going to have your phone, basically if you're going to use your phone in a public restroom, I'm going to judge you. Sorry. There's some other people that are sharing theirs online as well. Some of the other ones that came up online, people not respecting the school bus. Yeah. Mm-hmm. I'm actually probably more than silently judging you on that. I'm probably calling you out.
Oh, yeah, vocally. Vocally.
If you are driving, especially if you're a new driver, you don't know what the laws are around how to operate around a school bus, please inform yourself because it's so important. We don't want any kids hurt. How about people who dominate conversations, don't let the other person talk?
I have no idea what that is.
So that's anyway. No, I'm just kidding. How about, this is interesting, and I don't know. This one, I don't judge people for this one, but some people online say they judge men who wear baseball caps inside, especially during a formal event or a dinner.
I feel like anytime you're attending anything where it's even remotely formal, if baseball cap is anywhere in or around you, it's a bad idea.
I don't know. It doesn't bother me. Like, I'm not going to do it. But I don't know. It doesn't really bother me because it doesn't hurt anybody. To each their. If you feel more, there's people. I get it. There's people that just feel more comfortable in a hat. They don't like how their hair looks or their lack of hair. That's fine. If it makes you feel better about yourself, I say go for it. I like this one. Somebody online said, "I secretly judge people for being judgy." Pot calling pot meat kettle.
Yeah. Exactly.
How about people who get pushy when they're flying on an airplane? Yeah, that's, yeah.
And I get it. People have anxiety, but don't take it out on me.
Yeah, exactly. This one, I kind of get this one too. Not bragging about not voting in an election.
See, and those are always the people who complain the loudest when stuff doesn't go right governmentally.
Yes, that is exactly right. That is the first people who complain about politicians, which don't get me wrong, I have the same complaints, but that's why I go to vote.
Yeah, exactly.
And then finally, someone got really, really, really nitpicky and said, I secretly judge people who give gifts in gift bags and don't put the tissue paper in it.
Okay, so I can agree with that because if you're going to go through all the work of getting a gift bag because you don't want to wrap it, at least put a little effort in to try and hide it up a little bit with some tissue paper, whatever. Otherwise, people can just look in the bag and be like, "Oh, cool, it's a set of gloves." Thanks.
My wife would be on the same page. It would bother her if I gave her a gift bag with no paper. It would drive her honestly, if she saw the bag before like opening it, like if it was a Christmas gift and she saw it like in the basement or something, she would 100% go and just put the tissue paper in it herself. 100%. All right. Well, thank you to everybody who contributed to our Hometown Today question of the week. When we come back, we're going to look at what's going on. That's next here on Hometown Today from 95.3 WBEV. Welcome back to Hometown Today on 95.3 WBEV, powered by Daily Dodge. Hometown Today presented by Professional Floor Covering, your store for floors, and so much more. And Ninja, have you dug out your finest snowsuit yet for this weekend?
I've been trying to see if I can find one in a beautiful Kelly green, because I think that's what's going to be necessary.
Yes, that would be perfect. Perfect. That is because, of course, you are going to be out in Fox Lake this Sunday for the big St. Patty's Parade.
Yeah, it's going to be me and Wally out there. Wally Lukashinsky, you probably know him from this show or anything else we do. The two of us are going to be out there being our best and judgiest as possible of the St. Patrick's Day Parade.
Yeah, you guys are going to be out there for the broadcast. We appreciate you going out there. I know a lot of folks have been asking, what's the plan with the parade, with the weather forecast? We're getting a bunch of snow. Are we rescheduling? And the Fox Lake Parade Committee has said the answer to that is it's on. It's on regardless on Sunday, because there's a ton of planning that goes into that really doesn't make it feasible to reschedule. It's there's permits that have to be done. There's they coordinate with the police department. So many of the downtown area businesses, have ordered in food and drink based on the event, have ordered in staff. So there's a lot that goes into it. So it's on no matter what. So come on out. It's going to be a great time. Otherwise, if you can't make it out in the snow, we'll be broadcasting it live on Daily Dodge TV, presented by Leroy Meats and Ergo Bank. And before we get out of here, Ninja, I got to shout out a special group. Shout out to the Girl Scouts, because today is National Girl Scouts Day.
Aw.
Yeah, it was commemorates the founding of the Girl Scouts back in 1912 down in Savannah, Georgia. And I tell you what, Ninja, went out doing some shopping around town this week, and to my surprise, my dealer met me right in front of the store and offered up some product right there. So I had to get my hands on some Thin Mints. No, I'm just kidding. I you know what? I have not gotten hit up by any Girl Scouts for cookies yet this year, and I'm really disappointed because I know it's that time of year. I could really go for some peanut butter patties right about now.
I've seen a few of the groups of the Cookie Mafia out there, and I've been able to duck and dodge them a decent amount. But then I send my wife out to do stuff, and she always comes home with cookies.
Brings home anyway. So if you're a Girl Scout out there, you got some peanut butter patties. Let's chat. That's Ninja. Thanks so much for your help today, buddy.
My pleasure.
And that's going to do it for Hometown Today here on 95.3 WBEV, powered by Daily Dodge.